Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and this is the high school required reading tag. This tag was created by Nicole from Noteworthy Fiction and Alex from Stay at Home Reader. This is a new and original tag. I've been tagged, I think, by Nicole to do this tag, but it is indeed back to school season. Some depending on where you are, even in the United States, you probably have already started school, and also to just get a chance to reminisce on the books I was reading in high school, whether for school or for myself. Mostly the books that I was reading for school, but I did have a little bit of time to do a little bit of personal reading. But, let's get through the questions. There's not a lot of questions. I'll try to be pretty quick about answering these questions, but in the video description down below, there will be links to Nicole and Alex's original videos. I'll also tag them, and I will also be tagging people who I would like to see them do this tag whenever they feel like doing it. Also, if you're wondering why I'm holding my phone but upside down, I'm using my phone voice memo app to basically record the audio, so that's why I'm holding my phone like this. Question number 1 is titled as a high school crush. Name a book you were assigned in high school and loved at the time. Have you reread it, and did it hold up? In high school, I think the book that really made me go, okay, I can actually really enjoy books that are required reading in high school, and that was Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. This was the very first book I've ever read that was written by a Nigerian author, and it actually made me realize that, there are Nigerians who are also authors, and also to really see that there are authors around the world. Reading this book as a sophomore in high school really changed things for me. I actually have to say this was monumental to my reading journey, and I'm so glad that I read it as a sophomore. Now, granted, I have yet to reread it, but I really do hope to reread it pretty soon, whether it's this year, maybe sometime next year, I don't really know. But I do also own a bind-up version of the entire trilogy, because apparently Things Fall Apart is part of a 3-book series. And if you have not read Things Fall Apart in high school or college or whenever in your reading journey, I highly recommend checking this out if you have not already. Question number 2, gym class. Name a book you were assigned that you hated. Have you or would you give it a second chance? Well, I have to say, there are only 2 books in my entire academic reading career that I have avidly hated reading while I was in school. And will I give any of these books a second chance? Hell fucking no, because they don't deserve a second chance for me. One of them is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I think I read this in 8th grade. I really was not here for the story. Honestly, I was mostly just really confused. So at the time, I just felt like I just felt dumb. And now, would I read it? I mean, I feel like I will understand what's going on. However, I just don't see myself wanting to pick that up willingly, okay? But the absolute worst book I've ever read for school was Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I read that book before we got a chance to read Things Fall Apart. And the fact that this book was under 200 pages, actually, I think it was it might even be less than 150 pages. I generally don't even remember how long that book actually is. But oh my gosh, do I feel like I should just rip up the freaking pages of that book. I hated Heart of Darkness with such a passion that Things Fall Apart just was like a godsend. Oh my gosh, never have I ever really wanted to just stop reading a book for school in my life. Okay, question number 3. Locker combo. Is there a book you remember having to read but can't actually remember? I do have a couple books for that one. And unfortunately, one of them actually I read as a senior in high school. And it was the year that was the 2019-2020 school year. So the second half of senior year was a little rough there, okay? I really don't remember what we were supposed to be reading that time. One of them is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is a local author as a fellow Minnesotan. So, of course, we were going to read his most popular novel that really set the stage for regarding 1920s and stuff. But I generally don't even remember how that book even ended. I remember a bit of the beginning and the midpoint, but I really do not remember that ending at all. And another book I read, I think I was a sophomore in high school, was Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. I actually do want to reread this one. At the time, I was a little bit confused on what the overall message was. And I don't really remember much of what this book was even about. All right, question number 4. CliffNotes. Was there a book you were supposed to read but didn't? Summer reading, y'all. Summer reading. Oh my gosh. I think I've only read one book for summer reading, I think it was like for my freshman year. Like the summer before I entered freshman year, I read that book. But the summer before sophomore, junior, and senior year, I did not read any of those 3 books. I don't even remember what book I was supposed to read in senior year. Well, for senior year, I don't remember. I think for sophomore year, I was supposed to read Atonement by Ian McEwan. I didn't read the book. I think I tried to read it. I DNF'd it. I actually watched the film adaptation, because there is an adaptation. I watched it on Netflix. So I did that, and I did look up the CliffNote or like a Wikipedia summary of the book, because I was not interested in reading that book. Okay, I'm sorry. And also Orcs and Crake by Margaret Atwood. I think that's this book I was supposed to read before entering junior year. I just didn't bother with the book at all. I think I tried to read the first chapter and I got bored. And then I forgot about it. And luckily I didn't have to write an essay on it early in the beginning of junior year or anything. But yeah, I was not here for Orcs and Crake. Okay. All right, moving on to question number 5. Electives. Did you read just for fun? What book or books will you read outside of your assignments? There was only one book I could really focus on at a time. And for, I think since sophomore year to, I think even the start of senior year, I was reading Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. That was one of the books that I read Things Fall Apart. I was like, oh, there are Nigerian authors out there? Let me find a Nigerian author. I just found a Nigerian American author, but in my mind, I was like, close enough, Nigerian American. And I was having a ball game, okay? I mean, sure, it took me 2 years to finish reading it because schoolwork, and also I just was pretty busy during the summer. But I did enjoy it. I did try to read the sequel when I was in senior year. Not a fan of the sequel even back then, and I've not continued on with that series since. All right, question number 6, Rebound. What book would you replace from the typical assigned reading list? So I think, I don't remember if I was a junior or a senior, but at the time I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I was fascinated by the book, but I would prefer to replace The Handmaid's Tale with Changing All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. Both of these are dystopians. Both of them are adult dystopian novels, but Changing All-Stars to me does something. It introduces more of a concept that's way more fascinating to me in the dystopian literature space than The Handmaid's Tale, since it does deal with regarding incarceration, and it does talk more about the U.S. prison system and abolition, which I think is way more interesting and more prevalent to current day than I feel with The Handmaid's Tale, especially regarding the fact that a lot of the research regarding The Handmaid's Tale already has to do with historically regarding Black and brown women going through that, and the main characters in The Handmaid's Tale are all white women basically. So yeah, even though Handmaid's Tale definitely is a scary tale and stuff, Changing All-Stars is already pretty prevalent, and I think it'll be really cool to have that in the curriculum more so than The Handmaid's Tale. All right, question number 7, Teacher's Pet. What book got you excited about reading for class? Well, that was actually starting in junior year, honestly. After the books I was reading in sophomore year, I was like, okay, well, let's see what junior year is going to be all about. And I read a lot more interesting books, especially works written by authors of color. One of them was Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. This was one of my first Black classics, besides Things Fall Apart, but with a Black woman author instead. And I really enjoyed Their Eyes Were Watching God. It was so good. I read it in junior year. I loved it. I also appreciated that I got a chance to access the audiobook, because reading that book via audio, and I was so grateful that my English teacher gave me a link to find the audiobook for free. It really, really helped me to understand more of the tonal nuances that you get from the story if you actually hear it being spoken, because of the dialect that the book is written in. If you hear that versus reading that, you're getting way more out of it. And I really appreciate that. And I was so excited. And also, I read this essay collection called Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I really also appreciate how we went through that essay collection. I don't know if we read all the essays, though. I think we read some of them for sure. But I really enjoy reading through those essays. Very eye-opening for me. All right, question number 8, study hall. What was the most difficult book you read in high school, or the one you spent the most time studying? Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I actually had to read this book twice. in 2 different languages. So I spent a lot of time reading this one book, and we didn't even finish it in class. Granted though, I think we were reading it during the second half of my senior year, so it really is a blur, so I don't know if we were supposed to finish it or not, but I definitely did not finish reading that book, so I have no idea how this book ended. So y'all tell me, what was the ending of like The Stranger by Albert Camus or L'Étranger par Albert Camus? Whether you read it in English or French, because I was reading it in both. I was in like an advanced English class and an advanced French class. IB, International Baccalaureate, for those who do not know. In my IB English, we were reading The Stranger, and in my IB French class, I was like higher level because I was taking French for like years, since like 6th grade, and we were reading L'Étranger, and oh my gosh, was that book so difficult, because like it is basically a philosophy book. Well, I don't say it's philosophy, but like it's very it's very, philosophical. Thank you, over there. Yes, philosophical. Because it deals with absurdism, which we were learning in our English class, and then trying to process that in French. Because first of all, we had to translate what was even being said from French to English and trying to process what the heck he's even talking about. Oh my gosh. And the book is very plotless. There's not really quite a plot, so it took a long time just to get through like a chapter or 2 in that book. And I don't even recall if we even finished that book, because I didn't finish it. So also, if any of y'all have read that book, can y'all spoil it for me? What happened there? Because I'm kind of curious to just try it again, but also I don't know if I want to go through that mental go through that again. Okay, I don't know if I can handle it anymore. All right, question number 9, Nails on a Chalkboard. What was the book that made you groan when you found out you had to read it again? Well, I would say The Stranger, but I don't think that counts because I was reading it in English and French at the same time. So actually, I was very grateful we were reading at the same time to get better clarity. But as far as having to read a book I've already read again, none. Question number 10 is basically just extra credit. What book do you think will be added on to every high school reading list? Well, I would like to maybe petition to put in They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanifa Durkheim into that list. You don't even have to like read the entire essay collection in like a high school reading list. You can just literally the English teacher can just select a few essays, maybe just 1 or 2, just to like really study in like a junior or senior English class and like go ham at it, okay? Like really dissect his essay, what he's talking about, maybe references, music references. Like I think there is something to really be explored here in like a high school English curriculum setting. Maybe more like a Socratic seminar. Well, maybe Socratic seminar. I think you could. I don't know. I'm just thinking like how my high school was. Like I could possibly see an English teacher put this. Well, I won't say put this, but like maybe introduce it to the curriculum. But then again, that's just my high school. I don't know about other high schools, but I like to petition this book because this is a really, really good essay collection regarding that criticizes like our culture, that also criticizes on life, but also adding talks about like music and sports and stuff in here. I will also add that there was always this year on basketball and ascension. I will also add that into that list as well. If not this essay collection, then maybe that one, and a little bit more specific though to basketball. And I just chose with this one because it's a little bit more broader, but like still even with basketball, you could like maybe expand that with something else. And I can see that like maybe a possible assignment in a high school setting, maybe write your own essay or something, or like you just analyze an essay that Hanifa Durkheim already talked about in here, his talking points and stuff. You could do that. I don't know, maybe be a little bit more creative even than that. I'm just going by what I remember when I was in high school, but like there are ways to like expand upon his thoughts in this essay collection. And like there's plenty of essays to go through, honestly. And now the 11th question is basically just BFFs. Just tag people you would like to hear answers from. I would like to hear an answer from maybe Bree from Locked Booktition. Also curious for Steph from Coffee Over Apples, and also Steph from Stephanie Bookish, and then Scotty from Scottish Rereads. I think it'd be very interesting to like know about like, you know, the kind of books that they were reading in high school. Because I know my reading in high school is just different than everyone else that I follow on BookTube and stuff. So yeah, these are the 4 creators I would like to know. And, you know, just anyone else as well. If you see this video and you're interested in like doing this tag, go ahead. But yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. That's all I really have for y'all for this tag. Thank you all for joining me. Like this video if you like it. Comment down below any of your responses to any of these questions. And now you like my vibe and the content that I make, I do recommend subscribing if you have not already. You made this far in the video, you're not sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji, let me know you're here. You know, leave me some sort of school-related emoji, like a pencil, an apple, a backpack, a notebook, a pen. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for y'all right now. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.